All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're going to build a fortress, but not with stone and mortar. No, we're building it with code and policy. We're diving into the grand strategy of modern cybersecurity. Seriously, stop and think about it for a second. Your entire digital life, your bank details, your private messages, it's all locked away in this massive invisible fortress. So the big question is, who's actually guarding the walls? And what's their plan? Because let's be real, our modern castles, they look a lot more like this. They're just unbelievably complex, interconnected, with what feels like a million ways in. And defending something like this, it's not about one single trick or some magic piece of software. Nope, it requires a real strategy, a grand blueprint for defense. And the foundation of that whole strategy, it starts with a really simple but super powerful idea. You don't just build one wall, you build layers, lots and lots of them. In the security world, they call this defense in depth. The idea is just so smart. You build in redundancy. Basically, you have to assume that somewhere, sometime, one of your defenses is going to fail. And this isn't just about, buying more software. It's a whole philosophy. It changes how you think, how you budget, how you build things, embedding security from the get-go, not just slapping it on at the end like an afterthought. Let's go back to our castle. An attacker can't just waltz in and grab the treasure, right? First, they've got to get across that big, nasty moat. Then, they have to scale the outer wall. If they manage that, okay, now they're facing the inner wall. And only then, do they come face to face with the heavily guarded keep where the real goodies are stored. See? Every single layer is a new, separate challenge. A really great way to picture these digital layers is the onion model. It's perfect. Right at the very center, you've got your data, the crown jewels, the really important stuff. To protect it, we just start wrapping it in layers. You've got application and host security for the servers and software. Then you've got network security, things like firewalls guarding the perimeter. And here's the kicker, the people layer. For an attacker to get to that juicy data core, they have to peel back every single layer. So that outermost layer, it all starts with physical controls. And I mean this literally. We're talking fences, security guards, locked server room doors. You can't hack what you can't touch, right? Okay, moving inward, we've got the technical controls. This is probably what you think of when you hear cybersecurity. It's the firewalls acting like digital gatekeepers. It's the encryption that scrambles all our data into gibberish. And it's the antivirus software standing guard on our machines. But maybe the most important layer of all, and honestly the one that's often overlooked, is the administrative controls. Remember that people layer in the onion? Well, this is it. These are the rules of the fortress. It's the security policies, the plans for what to do when things go wrong, and, this is so crucial, it's the training that teaches all the people inside the walls how not to accidentally open the gates for the bad guys. So building strong walls is one thing, but what about all the folks inside? How do we decide who gets the keys, and more importantly, which doors those keys should actually open? This leads us to a golden rule in security, and it was said perfectly by Jerome Salter. It's called the principle of least privilege. And in simple terms, it's this. You only give someone the exact permissions they need to do their job. Nothing more, nothing less. Absolutely nothing. And the difference this makes? It's night and day. On one hand, you have a guard with a master key to every single room. If that key gets stolen, the entire fortress is compromised. Game over. But on the other hand, you have a guard with a key that only opens their assigned gate and their barracks. If that key gets lost, well, the damage is contained. That's the incredible power of least privilege. Okay, so we've built our layered fortress, we've handed out the keys carefully, but a really good defender doesn't just sit around and wait for an attack. No, they actively try to think like the enemy. This proactive mindset is called threat modeling, and it's basically the process of systematically looking for and analyzing potential threats. In our castle, this is the spy master's job, right? To figure out who the enemies are, what they're after, and how they might try to get it. So one of the spy master's most important tools is something called an attack tree. You see the main goal at the top, something like attacker gets access to a user's private info. Then all the branches below map out every single conceivable way they could make that happen. Once you map out all the threats like this, you know exactly where to put your guards and reinforce the walls. A really simple but brilliant way to get into this attacker mindset is to create what are called evil user stories. So developers normally write user stories to plan out features. As a user, I want to upload a profile picture.
The evil user story just adds a malicious twist. But as an attacker, I want to use that same feature to upload a nasty script disguised as a picture. It's a clever trick that forces defenders to think about how every single feature could be turned against them. But here's the thing, the siege never stops. It's a constant battle. As defenders build stronger and stronger walls, attackers are always out there forging new, more powerful weapons. So let's take a look at what's on the horizon. For decades, security has been this endless cat and mouse game, right? Find a flaw, patch the flaw, repeat. But what if you could build a system that was provably secure, like with math? That's the wild promise of something called formal methods. It's about using mathematical logic to prove that a system is just flat out immune to entire categories of attacks. Think about it like this. Traditional security is all about trying to stay one step ahead of a master lockpick who's always finding new tricks. Formal methods, on the other hand, is about designing a lock that is mathematically proven to be unpickable right from the start. It's a huge shift from being reactive to being proactively, provably secure. But even as we're designing these perfect, unbreakable locks, a new kind of siege engine is appearing over the hill. And it's a monster. We're talking about quantum computing. The numbers here are just mind-boggling. Researchers estimate that a quantum computer with about 20 million stable qubits could break the encryption that protects basically everything online today. And get this, it could do it in about 8 hours. So quantum computing is basically the ultimate siege cannon. It's capable of turning our strongest digital walls into dust. But don't worry, the defenders aren't just sitting around. A whole new field called post-quantum cryptography is already working on the next generation of walls. Brand new encryption algorithms designed from the ground up to stand strong against an attack from even the most powerful quantum computer imaginable. And that leaves us with one last really big question. In this never-ending arms race, this constant siege between attack and defense, from layered security all the way to quantum-proof walls, can any digital fortress ever be truly 100% impenetrable? Or is the best we can ever hope for just to build it stronger, watch it closer, and always, always be ready for the next siege?